I'm Ellen Booraem, and because this is World Read Aloud Day, I figured I would read aloud. I apologize for the quality of this video. I couldn't seem to make it sync with my voice. I'm going to read from Small Persons with Wings, which is my book. It just came out. It's a fantasy for ages 10 to 14. And I will start by reading a little bit of the first chapter, which is called Phidias. Last June, my parents jumped off a roof because of a pinky ring. Beware of jewelry, especially if it's more than 1,000 years old. And definitely beware of your own brain. Imagination is part of life, but also it sucks. I'm not actually allowed to say sucks. Phidias had imagination. Every bedtime until I was almost 6, he curled up on my pillow in his tattered jacket and knee breeches. Not too close, because touching him could give a person frostbite. 3 inches tall, barefoot and scraggle-haired, he told me about his elegant youth, the beautiful clothes, how everyone insulted each other, what they ate, how popular he was. I dreamed of A, cockroach fricassee, B, minuets, C, winged ladies dressed up like Cinderella. If you organize your thoughts and assign numbers and or letters to them, they stop being imagination and turn into scientific inquiry, which is safer. Phidias lived with us in our Boston apartment, which was the size of a French king's closet. One day, when I was 5, I sat in the tiny kitchen with my Winnie the Pooh plate empty except for summer squash, all soft and slimy. "You'll sit there until you eat it," my mother said, in model mom mode. She left the kitchen so my father could do the dishes like a model dad. Psst! Phidias made a transforming sign, a loopy Q. The squash turned into candy corn, which I didn't love, but anything beats squash. I scooped it into my mouth, realizing too late that Phidias hadn't done a thing to A, the taste, or B, the sliminess, only C, the looks. "Bleh," I said. Phidias cracked up. "That's what you get for having a sense of taste," he whispered. He wasn't mean. There were just things he didn't understand about being big and warm and human. I gulped my milk, and I didn't feel hurt at all. Not at all. A week later, I scattered 3 sets of Legos over my bedroom floor, organized by shape and color because Phidias was going to make Versailles, the palace of the French kings. Mom said I had to put them all back in the right boxes so she could vacuum. "They're organized by shape and color," I told her. "We're going to make the palace of the French kings." "It's too late to make the palace of the French kings today," model mom said. "You should know that, Phidias." She wasn't looking at him, she hardly ever did, so he went all beady-eyed and stuck out his tongue at her. "The 2 of you," she said, "pick up those Legos or no macaroni and cheese, just broccoli." We ignored her because it was my room and she wasn't the one with the building plan. But then I smelled macaroni and cheese, which is my favorite, and broccoli, which isn't. Mom yelled, "I'm coming in there now! Those Legos better be picked up, dang it!" She didn't actually say "dang it." She always uses a swear word, which means exactly the same thing, and yet I can't repeat it until I'm 16. This makes no sense, but what can you do? Anyway, Mom was coming, and Versailles was all over the floor. Phidias flew around and moved his pointy fingers in a go-away sign, like brushing a spider off your sleeve. One by one, the piles of Legos disappeared. "Whoa, it worked," Phidias said, so low I almost didn't hear. He sounded surprised. "Where'd they go?" I panicked because it didn't sound like he knew what he was doing. "They're still there, or somewhere." "What happens when she vacuums? Will she suck them all up because she can't see them?" I felt around with my hand, but there was nothing but carpet. Phidias's iridescent wings turned mud color. "Am I a magus?" he snapped. That's what his people call a scientist, and talking about magi made him cranky. "I don't know where they went." But then his wings lightened. Some faint purples and pinks appeared. His thin lips stretched in an almost smile, the closest he ever got to an expression on his pale, pointy face. "Don't worry, Turpina. They're pretending to be gone. It's a trick of the eye." Phidias almost always called me Turpina, my last name with an A stuck on the end, which made it a girl's name in Latin, his first language. When I annoyed him, he used my full name, Melissa Angelica Turpin, which he said was of lineage, although he never explained what that meant. He pronounced Turpin in French, his second language, with not much R and absolutely no N. Turpin, kind of. Grandpère pronounced it that way too. Dad said Turpin with as many R's and N's as he could shove in there. Phidias tried to be helpful. One time he fixed a hole in my jeans before my mom saw it, but the hole opened up again 10 minutes later. He said he was too lonely and depressed to make a spell last. That's why he was all raggedy. He had some magic in him, but not enough. He made My Little Pony come alive and gallop around the room for 5 whole minutes, which was cool, except that she ate a hole in my Wild Things bedspread and pooped squishy blue plastic BBs, and when the magic died she didn't have any tail left. I started to cry, and Phidias laughed. "Bring back her tail," I sobbed. "You can do it. You're a fairy." Phidias whirred at me, wings darkening, tiny sharp fingers curled into claws. "Fairies," he snarled. "Figments." His frigid fingers were an inch from my eyes. I cowered, and that lightened him up, wings and all. "We are not fairies, Melissa Angelica Turpin," he said. "We are small persons with wings." He went out to the living room to watch the DVD player open and close, so I was the one who had to clean up all the blue plastic poop, and my pony never got her tail back. Things go sour for Melly after this. In kindergarten, she finds out that she and her family are officially overweight. She calls it round. Her mother assures her that she will grow into her grandeur. Phidias deserts her because she told her classmates about him and threatened to take him in for show and tell. She becomes a laughingstock because she insists that he's real, and she acquires the nickname Fairy Fat. In 2nd grade, her parents and a school counselor break it to her that Phidias is in fact an imaginary friend. She begins to view her imagination as her enemy, and over the next 5 years she becomes increasingly obsessed with collecting facts and avoiding fiction. In the fact collection realm, she is an expert on art history. She loves Degas, a French artist. She has no friends, and she's an occasional target for bullies. 7th grade was the year Janine and Inez started wearing eye makeup and push-up bras, which could be considered a victory for them. They kissed boys, and Janine had hot pink streaks in her straight blonde hair. I wore an undershirt rather than a fake bra like Alice What's-Her-Name, who was as flat as me. I kept my hair short and curly and brown and wore t-shirts and a sweatshirt with a hood. My nose had turned into a Julius Caesar honker like Dad's, which Mom kept telling me I'd appreciate when I grew into my grandeur. But I wasn't growing into anything now, except maybe size 14. Somehow, everybody in my class knew I didn't have my period yet, which gave Inez the idea of sticking a tampon in my back pocket as I was getting up to do a math problem at the board. I heard everybody giggling, and it dawned on me that I had something in my pocket. So I reached around and pulled out the tampon and examined it, because at first I didn't know what it was. That brought the house down. I was about to rip open the wrapper when our teacher, Mr. Higgins, swooped down on me, grabbed the tampon, and threw it away. "Grow up, you barbarians," he said. But he was trying not to laugh, too. By that time, I'd figured out what the stupid thing was and was trying to pretend it was funny, but also I was Titian red. Titian, who actually was named Tiziano Vecellio, lived in Italy in the 1500s and painted a lot of naked round ladies with red hair and got a color named after him. "You can sit down if you want, Melly," Mr. Higgins said. But I was a stoic. I turned my back on them all and worked on the math problem until I was winter pale again. Got it right, too. At lunchtime, an hour later, I was at the little kids' end of the school, sitting on a bench against a wall steaming with March sunshine. I was leafing through my Degas book, my refuge in times of stress and tampons. It had snowed overnight, and I could hear the other kids in my class having a slush ball fight around the corner. "Hey, Effie," Janine said, sitting down on my left. Inez sat down on my right. They had on too much competing perfume. I sneezed, managing to close my Degas book first, so I didn't get any snot on musicians in the orchestra. "Nice math problem," Janine said. Inez snickered. "Yeah, I guess you never saw a Tampex before, huh?" I didn't open my Degas book again because I didn't want to draw their attention to it. I had a bad feeling. "So what's in that book anyways?" Janine asked. I made sure my rubber boots were flat on the pavement, ready to run. "Don't even ask," I said. "You'd never understand, any of you." Janine reached for the Degas book. Her mittens were soaked, filthy with slush ball grunge. I jerked the book away from her and ran. But I was soft and clumsy, and they were basketball stars with eyeshadow. They caught me at the jungle gym, shoved me into the monkey bars. The Degas book flew out of my hands and splashed into a puddle. "Woo!" Benny yelled. "Look at Fairy Fat!" I clung to the monkey bars, watched the pages of my Degas book darken with the wet, the book jacket half off, floating. "She said we were stupid," Janine crowed. "All of us." A slush ball hit me in the back of the head, ran down my neck. I wasn't crying, was not going to cry. More slush hit the side of my head, but I would not wipe it off my face. I watched my Degas book, willing the moisture not to reach prima ballerina. A slush ball hit the floating book jacket, submerged it. Slush balls exploded on the ground all around me and my book. "Aw," Inez said, "poor fairy fat." Another slush ball hit the dirt. "Recess is almost over. Leave her alone," somebody said, maybe Mina Cardoza. "Hey," somebody else yelled. Mr. Higgins. "Get off her, you little—" He used a word I'm not supposed to use until I'm 18, because it's biological and not usually the best word for the occasion. It was the perfect word for this occasion. The playground went quiet. I picked up my Degas book, tried to wipe it on my coat. The book jacket fell apart in my hands. Water ran out from between the pages. I couldn't look up because I might, after all, be crying a little. I stared at the toe of Janine's yellow boot. Before my eyes, it turned into a cloven hoof, attached to a pink, hairy leg. This surprised me so much that I did look up. Everyone, including Mr. Higgins, was a bright pink pig on its hind legs, all dressed except for having no shoes. The image lasted a second, and then they were themselves again. Inez looked sick. "Hey," she said to Janine, "did you see something weird?" "No," Janine said. "No, I did not. I didn't. No." "I didn't either," Benny said, pale as popcorn. Mr. Higgins sat down in the snow on the end of the slide and got his pants all wet. That's all. That's where I'm going to stop. Thank you for listening. Go read a book. See you later.